Well, thank you for joining me. We are sitting down today with the president of the University of Findlay, Dr. Katherine Fell, and the president of Bluffton University, Dr. Jane Wood. Thank you, Madam Presidents, both for joining us today.
Thank you for
We really
having us.
appreciate it. In a quick recap, over the past month or so, you two announced the Memorandum of Understanding that the two institutions were going to merge.
We did.
I think a lot of folks, I guess I could use the word surprised. It was big news. It was big news. And we're still in phase 2 of a 4-phase process.
Right.
And we're hoping to get, if we move forward with this merger, completed by the fall of 25, pending regulatory approval. We still have our sports affiliations, Division II, Division III, religious affiliations, the Churches of God Conference, General Conference, the Mennonite Church. So let's talk about that. That's just a quick recap. Let's talk about some of that stuff. When you made the announcement back on March 20th, you have since held a couple of town halls. I would presume you probably heard some various reactions, and be it from faculty, staff,
Sure.
parents, students, general public, us in the media. They heard the term merger. Now, you probably have also heard, maybe there's a perception, a take by some, that this isn't a merger. This is the University of Findlay taking over the Bluffton University. How do you, if that perception is out there, how do you change it?
Well, I'll start with that. So the University of Findlay is not buying a campus in Bluffton Village. We're not buying Bluffton University. We came to this decision together based on realities coming to higher education. So we're not taking over. We are merging ourselves into one university. The University of Findlay will be the university that remains. Bluffton campus will keep its name. It will keep the best parts of its identity, and we will be very respectful, and we already treasure its history and culture. So we have no desire to have simply a mini University of Findlay in Bluffton. We see no advantage to that. We see an advantage to keeping D3 athletics at Bluffton, the culture, history, and identifiers of Bluffton that means so much to the community and to the alumni of Bluffton. We will do the same for the University of Findlay. We think the differences among us are our strengths, but we also see synergies and similarities that the public may not yet be fully aware of. And those will allow us freedom of resources and time and the opportunity to envision new programs, new synergies to attract, educate, and prepare well more students than we do now separately.
Dr. Wood, when you talk to your folks on campus or the general public in the community of Bluffton, how do you change that perception if it's out there?
Yes. Well, first of all, I would echo what Dr. Fell said. That was beautifully said, and I would agree with all of that. I would also say that from the NC2A, when we think about Division II and Division III, Findlay's Division II, we are Division III, one of the things that the NC2A tells us is that we must maintain separate campuses for our student athletes to continue to play. So not only do we agree, and do I use a lot of what Kathy has so eloquently shared, but we also talk about the very regulations that mean out of necessity we will have our own separate kinds of entities and resources, right? So we will continue to be the Bluffton Beavers. They will continue to be the Findlay Oilers. We will play D3 sports. They will play D2 sports. And the NC2A also says that the place where the students are playing their sport, they must take the majority of their coursework. So our students at Bluffton must still and continue, even post-merger, take the majority of their courses on our campus. And so all of the things we've talked about will come to pass because we believe they're right and true, but they also are going to be attended to by our regulatory bodies.
Having said that, it's hard to look into the crystal ball. It's hard in anything in life to offer guarantees. getting, as these next phases go on and we get closer to the fall of 25 and looking for regulatory approval, is there something in writing that says, we sit here today and you have the plan you have, 3 to 5 years from now, Bluffton University will still exist?
What we envision, and the plan of both boards of trustees, is that a Bluffton campus, a Bluffton college affiliated with the University of Findlay will still exist. That is part of how we're defining success. Not only will Bluffton campus exist, the University of Findlay will exist, and both of us will be recruiting, retaining, and graduating more students on both our campuses.
Okay. Now, I'll jump ahead. Again, crystal ball. As this gets worked out and this merger gets finalized, when we hear the term merger, often with whatever it is in business, whatever, the first thing that jumps into people's mind is duplication of service. Mm-hmm. We don't need 2 of everything. Is there going to be talk or discussion how we're going to handle this, from administrative staff to academic staff to, would there be possibly job eliminations or that type of thing because of duplication?
Of course, that's a question on everyone's mind, and we will work with our faculty and staff to work through those issues. We will save money by fewer duplications of service through processes. We'll have one IT system. We'll have one contract with our food service provider. Those contracts together, those decisions to consolidate services and to collaborate will save resources. We have not talked about large reductions of force. We each run a pretty lean organization now. We've done that hard work to a large degree. So now we want to come together and find how we can make the best use of our faculty and staff.
Again, we'll touch on that, sure.
I would just add that, first of all, we are nonprofit faith-based organizations. And so when we think about merger, again, there's not another term, right, that sort of can describe what we do. But we want to imagine this very differently. Kathy and I are dear friends. Our organizations share so many similarities. We are institutions of deep faith, but we are open to all. And so I think that we hope to do this in a way that is different from what you see on the movies or TV about what a merger means, that we will do this collaboratively, that we will continue to work collaborative, the best of both of our institutions and primarily for our students. So the reason we come together in merger, of course, is because we see the demographics changing moving forward. But I'm so excited for all of our students. Our students are now going to have access to things, quite frankly, that we don't offer, and that if we wanted to offer would cost us more in resources than right now we would be able to do. So our students are going to be able to think about now physician's assistant program. They're going to be able to think about pharmacy, occupational therapy, computer science. What am I missing?
Well, they go
I know
on
lots
and
of
on.
things, but
a
anyway.
master's in environmental science.
There you go,
Would say
master's
that?
in environmental science. And so environmental science is near and dear to our hearts, and certainly to what is dear to many of our Mennonite alumni and others who we value that very much. So I think it is really important to say that we really will plan to do this differently, but our students are at the heart of everything we do. So our students are going to have access to programs that they don't have access to right now, greater access, and we're excited because even though we're smaller, we have some really strong programs that we think Findlay students will have access to: nutrition and dietetics, master's in that. We have a master's in social work, which is high need in our area. We have speech, language, pathology, and audiology that we are very excited to be able to offer to Findlay students. So our students are by and large excited about this, and their main questions are, when's the shuttle going to start? We don't have the answer to that.
That's right. You'll have to work on that. Okay. Both of your boards of trustees approved a while back for you to move forward with this memorandum of understanding and move through these phases and get to an end point. We get to the end point, Will there be one board of trustees or two? Still two representing each institution, or just one?
Our plan, excuse me, our plan is to have one board of trustees with representatives from the current board at Bluffton. We can also, there are many ways to organize this merger, any merger, and this merger in particular, to make it fit what we need. We can have, we've talked about an advisory board of, a larger advisory board of current board members at Bluffton who will also offer advice. And some of those current board members will become members of the University of Findlay board. There'll be one board, there will be one governing board, there'll be one university, and there'll be one president.
I was getting to that, just wondering if Bluffton University would have representation on the
Yes.
board and their voice would
Yes.
be heard, and that it was a collaborative
And
situation.
we have in our draft documents now that there'll be Bluffton alumni on our board and members of the Mennonite Church on our board, because I know both of those characteristics are very important to the Bluffton heritage.
You touched on this a little bit. I'll ask it basic and bluntly. Why is this happening? Is it just simple enrollment numbers?
Well, it's not simple enrollment numbers as we have enrollment now on our campuses. We have an average enrollment of 3,500 students plus another 2,000 college credit plus students, high school students taking classes. Bluffton has an average of 700 students per year of regular college students. And we are managing. We're managing, we work really hard. We are very judicious in our expenses and in our investments. Both campuses are. That's why our external review team found positive findings for us and strongly encouraged us to go forward with this merger. But it's not just about enrollment now. In the coming years, there is a college-age population cliff. Ohio will have 11% fewer college students of college age in the next several years, as will many of our contiguous states have even sharper decline. We believe that in 3 to 5 years, over the next 3 to 5 years, there will be many mergers in higher education. And if there are not mergers, are other innovative approaches to reaching more students, there will be many closures of campuses.
And I get to this, and this is probably not a possibility, but I'm going to throw it out there. You're into this, and again, phase 2. You're hoping in about 16 months to be finalized and approved and all that. What happens if during this next 16 months, 14 months, whatever, my math's bad, one side or the other says, we've tried. It's not, we've got a lot of things that do work, but some things don't work. Is there any possibility of either side stepping aside, saying, let's table this, let's put it off, we're not ready for it? But from what I'm hearing from you today, you sound pretty optimistic this can work.
We're very optimistic. Legally, of course, there's the option. Of course there is. We've signed an MOU, not a final legal document to merge.
Right.
And we know that it will take at least 12 months. It may take longer. We're fully prepared for that. As to whether that's an option or a possibility, it is in this stage. It is, but we're not operating with that assumption. The more we learn about each other and the harder we work at this, the more committed we are, and the teams who are working closely on this project are more and more committed to bringing this into a reality. But I'll let President Wood speak for her colleagues.
I was going to say, since this has all started and you folks announced it, what has been the feedback you've been getting, Dr. Wood?
Yeah, well, so let me just also echo that both of our boards of trustees voted unanimously to move forward with this, that they see such strong possibility. And one of the things that we are very excited about is that Right now, we compete for students with the University of Findlay, quite frankly. Now, they're bigger, and so they get more of them, perhaps, but we still compete with them. So what does it look like when we say, instead of competing for students, we're going to collaborate to help this group of students find the right fit? Right? So that we're not competing anymore. We're saying, oh my gosh, you know, you are a particular kind of student who's interested in going into physician assistant program. Let's help you find your home at the University of Findlay. Or you're a student who's interested in a particular kind of experience, because our campuses offer different kinds of experiences for our students. You know, you would be a better fit at Bluffton. So we're encouraging each other rather than competing against each other. So we're very excited about that. But I would say, you know, for some of our faculty, staff, and alumni, this is there's some grief there, right? This is, we've been operating for 125 years. It's our 125th anniversary this year, and there's a lot of fear around what does happen to us. We are reassuring, our board is very, very reassuring, I hope, to our faculty, staff, and alumni, but there's still a sense of it's not going to be the Bluffton that I went to school at. It's not going to be exactly like it was, and that's hard.
Right.
So we want to acknowledge that. We want to acknowledge that and hold that. At the same time, we also want to talk about the excitement and the possibilities of new programs for our students. We also remember that colleges have changed since we started. We are not the same institution we were in 1899, nor in 1920, nor in 1949, nor in 1969, right? Colleges have always been morphing and changing. And so I see this as yet another type of evolution and change as we move forward in a stronger way with the University of Findlay.
Well, as more morphing and changing happens over again the next 12 to 16 months, we'll continue to follow this. We'll probably continue to be in touch, and we'll get updates. So, again, thank you both for joining me. I appreciate it.
It was our pleasure. Thank you.